We begin with the power sector, where the Nigerian government is making changes to the way electricity is distributed across the country. The big power distribution companies, called DisCos, are being split up into smaller ones to make things work better. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, explained this to a group of senators led by their chairman, Senator Naya Abaribe. Some DisCos, like the one in Ibadan, cover too many areas, so they are not efficient.
The government also wants to sell DisCos that owe money to banks and some important projects that haven't been finished in over 20 years. It's stated that some of these DisCos have more than 100 projects that have not been touched. The plan is to now have, of course, each state run its own DisCo, and the government wants to get more involved in managing them. Now, joining us to look at this developing story is Emeka Ojoko, who is a lawyer, executive coordinator, NEPA Wahala NG. Interesting name for your setup there. Good morning, Mr. Ojoko. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
NEPA Wahala. All right, let's talk, basically about the failure of these DisCos, as, said by Mr. Adelabu. He says some of them, need to be unbundled, need to be dismantled if possible. And of course, have states handle them, for better effectiveness. Would you agree that they have failed because they were never set up to be productive and to succeed? Or have there been issues, internal issues, that have, led to the failure of these DisCos?
Yes, I think that first and foremost that the privatization exercise was not properly handled, and that these DisCos were handed over to investors to manage who did not have the technical competence to run the businesses properly. Historically, since 2013, the DisCos have posted monumental annual losses. They have not been running profitably. But when you look at the lives of their top management officials, you see them living large, living as if they are executives of oil companies, when their baseline figures should not support that kind of lifestyle. Okay, basically, these investors thought that they're coming into the industry to come and drill oil wells, but they did not realize that public utilities is serious business with very, very low margins for profits, and that the businesses must be tightly managed for them to remain profitable. Now, apart from their internal governance issues and all that, the fact is that, as I said, the privatization was not properly managed. There had been excessive government interference in the sector, too much political factors at play, which have not, even if the DisCos are being well managed, have not allowed them to operate profitably. From as far back as 2016, 2017, the tariffs in the sector have been frozen by government in defiance of multi-year tariff orders that have been passed by NEC, which was the basis for the DisCos business plans. So when the tariffs are frozen artificially at the time when they're supposed to go up, it makes a mess of whatever projections that they have made. So over the years have not changed in line with economic factors till this year, when those factors came into play with the lifting of a subsidy on the Band A customers. So a whole gamut of issues, right, that have put DisCos where they are now. They're hugely indebted to their banks, to their lenders. 4 of them have been taken over by lenders that have been actively managed by banks right now. And bankers, you all know that they are not qualified to run utilities. The other ones are under the microscope as well, right? The management of PhD has been changed. The last 2 years, the management has been changed by BP and then by NEC, and discussing with their bankers. So all of them, probably even AEDC is in a similar situation as well, right? So even the best of them, right, are not doing as well as they should, and it's telling on we the customers. The services that they render are abysmal, right? Even with the so-called lifting of a subsidy, which is supposed to improve supply to the Band A customers.
All right. Talk to us about your thoughts on the position that within the next 3 months, all the DisCos that are under management by AMCON should be sold to in the exact words, to a technical power operator with a good reputation. Do we have that here? And what do you think that will look like for our power sector?
Well, the reason why we are here in the first place was that at the time of initial privatization, the players with technical expertise were not given free hand to do proper due diligence on the DisCos. So they came in blind, not knowing the true financial position. So we hope that, as the minister has promised in the next 3 months, that whichever technical players they want to bring in, right, will be allowed to properly assess the state of these companies that are under the block, so that they can truly assess their state and know whether or not they are prepared, okay, to do the turnaround for these companies. This process should be bereft of any kind of political interference. It should be done professionally, right, and given to people as the minister said, with proven competence in this area. Now we are talking about probably not Nigerians, because we have demonstrated over time that we lack the expertise, right, to manage this company. So some form of foreign investments we'll be looking at here, right? Foreign interest to come in partnership with Nigerian entities, so that we can be in compliance with local content laws and all that. So it's a good plan, right? It's a good plan. No DisCo can be managed properly by any bank. No DisCo whatsoever. So it's a good plan for them to sell them off, right? And then, as the government has started doing now in the last couple of days, where they have started allowing states to control the electricity markets, I think it's a step in the right direction. There will be a lot of confusion at this teaching stage, but as the dust settles, consumers and the supply should witness significant benefits.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that we lack the expertise, to handle these things. Nigeria as a country definitely, I believe has a lot of people who are overqualified to handle these sectors. We just don't let them do it. We politicize some of these appointments and some of these decisions, and eventually just wreck everything. I wanted you to also speak with regards you spoke earlier about government's involvement, and so can we also blame the failure of the generation companies, failure of the transmission sector, and failure also of the NERC to monitor the whole power sector? Can we also blame some of these factors as the reason the DisCos failed, or is it do they have majority of the blame?
No, 100%, right? I place the blame squarely on the government. Government has the primary responsibility of managing the electricity market, of formulating policies and implementing policies for the benefit of the market. So the blame 100% with government, right? The DisCos they bear their share, right? But if policies had been rightly formulated and implemented, the DisCos wouldn't have the room to do some of the things that they have been doing, right? So from the get-go, the entire privatization exercise was messed up by the government. It wasn't done in line with industry standards at all. So from the beginning, that has been the issue, right? Government will not allow the DisCos to do business. Government is the biggest debtor to the DisCos. If you check them across the board, you will find that on the debts of government, parastatals, agencies, MDAs, you find that they are one of the biggest debtors. Even when you see when even Asoro, if the presidency can be owing their utility supplier, what do you expect from the rest of the lesser entities?
Yeah,
right, in government. So I place the blame 100%. Government has to design the market, then put right policies in place for the industry to run properly.
Okay, now, but we're still talking about government involvement here. Mr. Adelabo is speaking about unbundling them, or unbundling certain of them, so that states, they will be managed on state levels. We don't have one DisCo covering 5 or 6 different states. So what would your recommendations be for states to be able to handle the aspects of those DisCos that concern them? Can Edo State handle its own, distribution, and then Delta State will handle its own distribution, and Bayelsa handles its own distribution? Or, I mean, is that a workable plan?
Yes. I've long held the opinion that some measure of competition in the sector, right, is necessary for the DisCos to function better, right? So reducing the size of their franchise territories, for me, is a step in the right direction. One DisCo managing 4 states, 5 states was never a workable plan. We have 11 monopolies, and as you know, in any monopolistic system, there is no incentive to the monopolizer to do better. Whatever services they offer, the customers must endure. So creating smaller utilities is a step in the right direction. But beyond that, government needs to the states need to get into to split up distribution and supply, right? Then we need to create a retail electricity market, so that even if you have one distribution company covering one state, let them have different suppliers getting supply to the customers, so that consumers have a choice. If I live in Port Harcourt now, if Obiakpo supply company is not giving me proper supply, I can move to Unbundling supply company. I have a choice to move from one supplier to the other. Now, even though the power is coming from one source, from one distribution company, with multiple suppliers, there's some form of competition, so that these supply companies are forced to look at innovative ways to improve supply to their customers. Okay, so that's one area that the states could probably get better, because they're closer to the people, right? But then it's a huge challenge, right, that the government has passed over to the states. For Enugu State and Ekiti State now, the depth of any electricity market is determined by the demand in that market, right, and by the installed generating capacity in that market. How will this state regulatory commissions now relate with the national? What will be the relationship with TCN, with NBET, right? Since they are the ones who will now set the electricity tariffs within their states, how will they handle this issue of subsidy? Because the government, technically, by October this year, when this entire process will be done, right, government will no longer be responsible for, the federal government no longer be responsible for carrying the shortfall for the band B to E customers. So the states have to prepare for that eventuality. They need to deepen their manufacturing base, because the manufacturing sector is the cash cow for the utility companies. They are the ones who give them guaranteed revenue assurance. Without effective metering systems for the residential customers, right? There will always be collections and commercial losses for residential. But with the manufacturing sector, the industrial sector, who by law must be metered, they have complete 100% revenue assurance. So, but how many of these states are fully industrialized, so that other investors can look at those markets and say, okay, let's get involved in these markets. Let's invest our resources, right, so that we can expand the market a little bit more. So these are the issues that the states have to contend with. Enugu states, I give kudos to them for taking the bull by the horns. But if you ask me, right, in terms of industrialization, I think that Anambra would have a better position to have been the first experiment on this. I don't know what the industrial strength of Enugu State is right now.
It's not very strong.
I don't really.
Yeah. Interesting one there. We certainly look forward to seeing the best for the power sector here in Nigeria. I know there's also an investigative hearing happening sometime next week, talking about the increase in tariff hike. It'll be interesting to see how people are catching on with the band A, band B, band C, and band D, and the several band distributions. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.